And the opponent across the ring fighting out of the red corner. He wears the blue trunks with the silver trim. He's scaled at 62.3 kilos. His professional record, 23 victories, 3 defeats, and a win coming by way of knockout. His blood is Italian. Fighting out against Belgium, here is the former two-time European lightweight champion, Francesco. Patera.
Well, as I'm sure you've noticed at this point, this is not Ivan Zuko. That is very much Francesco Patera. The schedule has changed. We didn't get the memo, and a fight that was due just before the main event has been brought forward. So we have 8 rounds. Francesco Patera, who, as of Sunday last week, was without an opponent. He was due to fight in a rescheduled contest for WBC silver title against Davis Boschiero. He had COVID just before Christmas, so the fight was rescheduled to this weekend. Sadly, Boschiero had his term with the virus, so we wish him well. They had late replacement brought in, actually a very good Ukrainian in Vladislav Melnik, and 2 of his team, they've got the virus this week, and so by hook or by crook, Nicola Henchiri, who is the fighter in the white trunks trimmed with gold, has come in to save the day at just a few days' notice. Now, Patera, of course, hasn't been in action for the best part of 18 months, if not a little longer.
Wow.
So I think he will just be really, really relieved that he's got an opponent in front of him. Yes, let's be perfectly honest, he's not going to be anything other than overmatched at this stage.
Of course.
But he will just be grateful of the chance to get the rust off.
Yeah, he very much will, you know, and he's... you know, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. So that's another consideration that he's probably quite happy about as well. But yeah, like you said, Chris, probably just happy to be back out there. Lands a good body shot there.
He retained the EBU European lightweight title against Domenico Valentino. It was October 2019, it was. And unfortunately, I think for him and Boschiero, they both had to vacate the titles that they held, which for Patera, of course, was the European title. And that was in order to box for the WBC silver belt, which I think they were both hoping would secure them a decent rankings place with the WBC. I think that will be rescheduled at some point, and it's still very much on the horizon for Patera and Boschiero. But for now, he's just going to want to try and put a dent in Nicola Henchiri and get the job done in decent fashion.
I think Dominic Valentino may have been the last person to beat Josh Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
Good knowledge.
Yeah.
Of course, big things lie ahead for the Scot, looking to become undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Ramirez on the horizon.
Well, Henchiri's managed to get off a few shots of his own here, Chris. Landed a decent left hook.
Well, Patera actually is a fighter that likes to kind of box on the back foot. He doesn't mind being pushed back. We saw Paul Highland Jr. and Lewis Ritson both make the same kind of mistake against him, and that's just to try and throw the kitchen sink. I don't know how physically imposing he is, but very, very good inside fighter who's happy to step off and walk you onto shots and work away on the inside.
Yeah, he's quite comfortable anywhere, really.
I was talking to Jamel Herring, who incidentally boxed Josh Taylor in 2012, I think one of the Olympic qualifiers. He was saying that the effects of long COVID really were very, very apparent in his performance before, obviously, that victory over Carl Frampton last weekend. That he said you cannot underestimate how much it can take out of you. So you just never know with Patera. He may be absolutely fine, but he also may be kind of operating at 80%, which, I have to be honest, Vladislav Melnik can really fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does seem like it is the kind of thing that affects people differently. let's say. You know, I know people who have had it and they're totally fine afterwards and passing all kind of fitness tests. But again, you know, you've heard of people like Jamel Heron say that it affected them massively, and it took a lot out of them. So,
and of course, Melnick went the distance with Sultan Zalbek and Isa Chaniev last year. And if you've watched either of them or both fight, you'll know what a task that is. Just wonder whether him coming in as a late opponent, if he was fit and ready, whether he could have given Patera a hard night. But well, I don't think, looking at Henchiri's offense, he's going to be in any danger of doing that. But at least he's letting his hands go.
Yeah, he's trying, isn't he? He had a little bit of success in the first round. He landed the odd shot, so...
This one, I think, was originally, of course, agreed at £135. But what happens when they bring late notice opponents in? They just raise that bar to make it a little bit easier for both fighters. So I think this was made at 138. Both came in at about 137, which will be more than comfortable for Patera. Just double jab 1-2 there.
A little bit short with that right hand, landed with the kind of open part of the glove there. Never got full leverage on the shot. And you can expect him to be a little bit rusty here. You know, he's not going to be firing on all cylinders and feeling fantastic, especially with the layoff, just for the layoff alone.
And of course, there's also the element that is so apparent with a lot of fighters that when you do box someone that's a couple of levels below you and you're unmotivated and you know you've only got 8 rounds, you kind of tend to drop down a level yourself. So you won't expect to see the best of Francesco Patera tonight. Just really an exercise in oiling the wheels for him, which I think he's more than within reason to have at this stage, given the week that he's just had. Very, very hard to stay on weight when you know there's a chance. Savannah Marshall had it with Femke Hermans a couple of weekends ago. The Ben Vargas fight night. Hermans dropped out, I think, with COVID on the Saturday, and amazingly they got Maria Lindberg, former world title challenger, to step in on the Tuesday. She flew in from Sweden and was there for the weigh-in in actually very, very good shape.
Unbelievable.
On the Friday. She didn't last long, of course, but I think at these times, fighters are always just so grateful for any fighters that can step in and just save the day late notice at a time where, as you say, everyone is looking to get paid, putting food on the table. It's the most important thing amidst everything at the moment, whilst so many fighters' careers have been on pause for 12 months or so.
It's so admirable as well, you know, these guys coming in at the last minute, the courage and heart it takes to do that, and maybe already knowing that you're coming into the line of fire, you know, it certainly does take a lot of courage. It's not for the faint-hearted, that.
No, but Henchiri knows what kind of fighter and how good a fighter Patera is. But he's game, bit of blood trickling from his nose. He's still letting his hands go. Fair play to him. And of course, there is the danger that we saw in Josh Warrington and Mauricio Lara just a few weeks ago, where you can completely overlook an opponent where you're under-motivated and without crowds. And
it's a really strange one, that. You know, I do think that the time out the ring, I mean, a lot of people say that it can't be that, but I do think the time that Josh had out the ring has certainly affected him. I also think that he's at that age now as well, where what we were speaking about earlier is the old featherweight limit just a little bit too far down for him now, that he actually can't recover between the weigh-in and the fight. It could very well be the case. You know, he's been a featherweight for a long time.
Yeah, he has.
He doesn't walk around, you know, at the 9 stone 57 kilo 120 pound limit.
And of course, activity is so crucial for a fighter like him, because he's been so busy for so many years. That pause can be quite detrimental. I was speaking to Joe Cordina after his comeback. Obviously, he had the pandemic layoff. He also had some hand surgery, and he came back and fully admitted. He said, "Look, that was really me at about 80%, and I'm happy to admit that." He said, "I did feel rusty. I did feel my timing was a bit off." And people have to accept that, you know, the era we're in. That is what they're going to see from fighters for certain occasions like this, when they are a little bit undermotivated, late notice opponents. Well, we're into round 3 here. Henchiri letting his hands go, making this competitive. Stiff jab from Patera.
Yep, he's definitely giving him something to think about. He's not a stationary target either. And he is firing back on occasion. It's a little bit ungainly, and it's quite awkward as well. Quite awkward to read in time. Not too sure he knows what he's going to do himself, never mind his opponent. So that can always be quite tricky as well, Chris, can it?
Yeah, well, kind of strange kind of dipping and shooting almost from southpaw, leading with the right hand. Well, he broke a few British hearts that night against Lewis Ritson in Newcastle. They built the Geordie up as the next Golovkin, which was, as we know now, a little bit too early for that, and put a lot of pressure on him. And well, we saw just how well Patera does deal with this kind of pressure style of fighting. We saw the same thing against Paul Hyland Jr., who's not the power puncher that Ritson is, but certainly a good technical boxer. He threw everything at Patera. Those 3 or 4 rounds, but he's just happy to tuck up, ride out those little storms, and then go to work. And he's a spiteful body puncher, the Belgian Italian. He's just taken a couple of rounds to wake up, just starting to show signs that he's getting into his groove now.
Yeah, very awkward customer. Henchiri, he's not easy to read at all, is he?
Well, he's come into this full of confidence. He's obviously been in training. Timing's pretty good. He was last out on the 12th of February, so relatively recently compared to Patera. Just exits nicely from southpaw there with a right hook to the body. And the left hook there. Just sharpen Patera up a little bit there. Just realises that he's got to switch on. Just see him now realise he's been clipped by a couple of silly shots by an opponent he knows he should be doing.
And a body shot there as well.
Against, it's a good round for Henchiri. This not what we expected to be saying 3 rounds into this contest.
He's not even having a seat. He's got a little twinkle in his eye as well.
Twinkle in his eye, bit of blood from the nose. But he's having some success here against quite a flat Francesco Patera, and will be interesting to hear from him in the weeks to come how he is feeling physically after COVID in December, whether he does feel like it's affected his performance. You have to say he wouldn't have started like this against Boshiero, and if he had done, he would have been punished for it even more so than he has this evening.
Boshiero's a tough campaigner as well.
He is.
Throws lots of punches. Very, very busy.
Patera's coach, his brother Biagio, was a professional light heavyweight himself between 2005 and 2007. Boxed the young Caro Marat when he was 3-0, I think. And he has eventually, he said, got his sights on a fight with Devin Haney, one of 3 champions with the WBC at lightweight. Let's not pretend that isn't a farce. All very, very good fighters, Lopez, Haney and Garcia, but one champion is enough, especially when you've got 4 recognised sanctioning bodies. The last thing you need is 3 under 1. But nonetheless, very, very deep division. Lomachenko, of course, recovering from shoulder surgery. Linares and Haney meet May 29th in Las Vegas, live on DAZN. Garcia Fortuna slated for the 9th of July. And, well, Teofimo Lopez likely moving to 140. There will be massive opportunities for these fighters in the next 12 months. He will want to be amongst them.
Yep. Big money division now as well.
It is.
Yep. A lot more interesting if we see Gervonta Davis move up there as well.
Nice, yeah. I mean, the latest schedule, he's slated to go and fight up at 140, and you just think there are so many good challenges for him at 135, and that's where the public demand is for him to fight too. It's an awful waste to see him kind of skirting around the divisions, given how good he is. Yeah,
I'm quite surprised that Floyd Mayweather, being his manager and promoter, is allowing him to do that, actually. I really am, He is barely a 135-pound fighter. You know, he's definitely a 130-pound fighter. He's not a big fellow at all when you consider the size of Lopez and Ryan Garcia's 5'10". You know, they're big lightweights.
Luke Campbell too.
Yeah, Luke Campbell too.
Expecting news from him imminently as well. A red hot division, and well, Patera has shown his class and value since those defeats to Edis Tatley, that he is European level and above for sure. Certainly a little rusty tonight, just walking onto a few shots from Henchiri, but we know that the best of him is still ahead. Oh, little left hook from Henchiri as he stepped in with a left hook to the body too.
He's growing in confidence, isn't he?
He's not a big man either.
No, he's not at all. No, he actually looks like a featherweight. You know, he's not big in any area. He's actually got quite thin legs as well.
There's a reasonable amount of snap behind his shots, and he's caught Patera's attention when he has landed.
He's clearly very tough as well.
Well, he's 9-3-2 Henchiri. He may well look back on this as one of his best, if not his best career performance to date so far, regardless of the result. Just fancies it here.
Yeah. Why not? He's had success.
Wild from Henchiri, but it's high risk, high reward. Patera just doubles up that right hand, steps in again. Just range and timing and fluidity just missing a little bit from the home fighter. And whether his head's just not in the game, just see the frustration on his face there. He knows he's not right tonight. I caught up with Josh Warrington on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and he said it's hard to describe what it's like. You're used to stepping out in front of big crowds with opponents that have got the reputation that put that bit of fear and respect into you, and you've got titles on the line, all of which is absent for Patera tonight, having to give up the EBU European title, thinking he was in with a WBC ranking place. Warrington had to do the same with his IBF, and all of those factors. Forget these fighters are human beings at the end of the day, and it's hard to get yourself up and motivate yourself in a dark, almost empty arena. And we're just seeing that combined with the inactivity, potentially the last lingerings of COVID, a performance that he really just wants to get out of the way now. Starts with that long raking right hand to the body, excuse me. Back comes Henchiri again.
Yeah, that was an answer back, wasn't it? That was 5 right hands in a row. They all landed on the gloves, but it's just the fact that, you know, he's given out so much defiance and just not, you know, he's so awkward and ungainly, and he's such a tricky customer, isn't he?
I think style, yeah.
Yeah, and I think because he is so tough as well, it makes him even worse. You know, it's not an ideal match this for Patera, really.
No, it's not. He rakes that left hook into the body. Henchiri just tries to get back to centre ring, and he's moving and slipping well, and aggressively shuffling in with his feet, pushing Patera back and making him miss with, well, relative ease, really.
Yeah.
Does not look like a late notice opponent.
No, he certainly doesn't. No, not at all. It's a great matchup, actually.
Yeah, there's an argument here that he's won a couple of these rounds, and well, in an 8-rounder, remember Craig Richards and Chad Sugden at your call battling to a draw, because Richards just started a little bit slow and probably overlooked Sugden, and he ground his way back into that contest. And well, that is the danger when you've only got 8 rounds to play with. Give away a couple, suddenly your opponent is 2 rounds away from a draw.
Yeah, and you know, Henchiri, he's growing in confidence as well. You know, he's trying things now that he was nowhere near thinking about in rounds 2, even round 3. You know, the last couple of rounds he's really came on, and you wonder if he's just maybe left it just a tiny bit late, that he believes he can actually win this bout now. Maybe not, though. Maybe not.
That just catches him with a little left hook. Patera just a little slow with the feet. Just stood a bit too long after landing his work. Exchange right hands. Again, just taking the sting out of that, coming back quickly to the body. I imagine this is as baffling for everybody at home, given the situation of this fight, as it is for us watching here. Just not what we expected at all.
No, certainly isn't.
This is why, as you say, boxing is so fascinating. You never really are quite sure what's going to happen in any contest, regardless of the form books, regardless of the reputations, regardless of the statuses as former champions, and regardless of size. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, they say. It's the size of the fight in the dog. At the moment, the fight in Nicola Henchiri is equal to, if not just a little bit more than it is in a lacklustre Francesco Patera, with 10 seconds to go at the end of this 5th round.
He's doing very well. He's making Patera miss so much as well. He's making him look quite amateurish, really, there. Still not sitting down as well. He's clearly very fit, Chris, as well. You know, he's he looks like he's had 6 weeks to prepare for this, doesn't he?
Yeah, and you have to wonder what his team has said to him, because they can't have got the call much later than Tuesday this week, and whether they said, look, he's going to completely overlook you. Sometimes you know yourself, sometimes you get that call, maybe a late call, but you've been in the gym, you've had 6 weeks good training behind you, and you actually feel ready to go. A number of times you hear fighters 3 weeks out from the fight, they say, oh, I wish it was tomorrow. If you've been in that position and his team said, listen, this guy's going to completely overlook you, we could come in and stun the viewers at home here. And that seems to be the attitude he's come in with.
Yeah, it certainly does. And like I said a couple of rounds ago, or the last round, he's grown in confidence as well. I think he actually does really believe he can win this now. I wonder if he'll continue fighting the same way.
Well, and there's the body language in the face.
Yeah, he was quite despondent and like a little bit sort of
frustration.
A little bit flat as well. He's just like, yeah.
You've got to try and find something somewhere just to make sure that he puts the exclamation mark, or rather the punctuation mark on this fight, Patera, because he's got the ability to do so if he switches on. I think he knows now he's got to do it. Let's just walks into a right hand there again.
And
it's
another.
Very unlike him.
Maybe trying to now force it out.
Sort of slip left hook to the body, but he hasn't really got Henchiri's attention with any of these punches. So shots to the body that finished Highland Jr. I think he was down 3 times with a left hook to the body before he was eventually counted out. He took the wind out of Lewis Ritson's sails with a digging deep body shot in the middle rounds that completely changed the course of their fight. Nice, it just dropped off the line there, just shot that corkscrew uppercut in. That was better from Patera.
A little bit sharper.
Now just trying to target the body on the left-hand side, putting his shots together a little bit better now. Just knows that he can't get complacent at this stage. And look, we have to be honest here, if this went to the cards and Patera got it wide, it wouldn't be even remotely the most shocking thing we've seen in boxing even in the last month. But that is part of the sport. But nonetheless, he will know that he's potentially got away with one here. Just that complacency and a man in front of him that was game, but just not quite technically good enough to punish him as much as maybe he's deserved tonight, because he's been very, very flat, Patera. And he's much, much better than this. He's just falling in over the right hand there as well.
Henchiri still not really giving him the respect he deserves either. Still going looking for him.
Just a little check left hook as he stepped in there behind the 1-2.
Turns southpaw, flicks out a jab as well. It's a good straight right hand to the body though, as he was switching. Like you said earlier, Chris, always dangerous as you being caught as you switch.
I think that the main thing is you're looking at 2 fighters here. One that looks like they're really enjoying the fight and enjoying what they're doing. And another one that really doesn't.
Yeah. It looks like he'd rather be somewhere else right now. Patera.
Nice counter again from Henchiri. Patera just sticks out that double jab, just steps in again with the right hand, but it just slides over the top, and Henchiri just digs in. Flurries of punches, looks fit and looks spiteful when he does let his hands go. That was a nice right hand on the inside there from Patera. Probably the best punch of the fight from him. Just forces his man to step off for a moment. A good end to the round, but again, close round.
Yeah, again, very close. And never at any point did Henchiri look like he was being overwhelmed, even though it was a reasonably good round for Patera, better than what he's had previously. But yeah, really, really odd fight this has turned out to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, not according to the script book at all. That was one of the best shots he's landed in the fight so far. Patera just dropped down to his left, fired the corkscrew uppercut through the middle.
Yeah, landed a good straight right hand to the body as well. Patera. As Henchiri was kind of just switching stance.
Again, every time he lands, or most of the time he lands, Henchiri's just answers back in flurries of punches, unorthodox flurries of punches at that, and hard to read. And when Patera is holding his feet as much as he is after punching, he's been there to be hit for most of the first 6 rounds so far. Just 2 to go here in Milan.
Body punching there.
That was nice work from Patera, wasn't it? Just signs that Henchiri just starting to step off now. This is just where fatigue sets in for the late notice opponent, but he's looked good so far. Some solid shots landed from Patera in the last round. Again, Henchiri just happy to punch with him. Just catching him on the way in.
Yeah. Like scything punches as well. He's, you know, they're dangerous looking shots sometimes. You know, you can tell that they're not overly powerful. There's not much weight behind them, but they're scything and dangerous. They're the kind of shots that can open a cut, or, you know, if one just sways the wrong way and catches you on the side of the rib, it'll hurt, you know. So yeah, he's not a...
Yeah, certainly in between rounds you can just see the sort of the markings on the head of Patera left and right, and knows he's been in a fight here.
Oh yeah, for sure he does. Yeah, no doubt about that. And again, like we were saying earlier, Henchiri's so ungainly, like we're not too sure that he actually knows maybe what he's going to do next. You know, never mind Patera. So he's a really tough guy to contend with, you know.
Oh, nice.
He's got a good chin as well, Chris. You know, he's running a couple of decent shots there.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
been
right hand.
He's been cracked with a couple of body shots as well. He's clearly a tough fellow. You know, he doesn't decide to run or move, or, you know, he stands right there.
In 14 contests, won 9 of them. He's lost 3 times. He hasn't been stopped though.
Yeah, you can
in the
tell,
distance,
yeah.
and yeah, absolutely, you can see he's not a guy that's going to go quietly, is he?
No, he's definitely not. Probably take some of the top flight guys at this weight class to stop him. You know, he's so awkward and tough. Good one too there. Wow.
Got Patera's attention.
Stepped right behind it, didn't he?
That's frustrated Patera as well. See, he just almost wanted to come straight back at him because he knows he was caught clean there.
Very quick feet there as well from Henchiri. He stepped in behind that 1-2 so quickly.
Nice 3-punch combination. The jab just
but
ending that through the middle.
No respect at all showing. You know, he didn't even blink.
Again, just catching with the right hand on the turn. Hard to know for Henchiri what this is going to do to his stock, whether it's going to raise it or whether it's going to become part of the Hoonigan club, because no prospects are going to want to get in with him after seeing this, that's for sure.
Or think about 12 rounds with this fellow. Yep, and he looks like he could do 12 rounds quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Not a nice experience for even some of the top flight boys.
There was a little blood from the nose of Henchiri. That was as evident as the second round, but really his body language, his facial expression, the markings up haven't changed. That was 2 really good shots he walked into there. He acknowledged it with a little nod there. You see that there? He knew he was caught well, but never really took a backward step. That was a lovely combination from Patera. Look at that, barely takes a backward step. Just steps straight forwards, back into the line of fire. You see the marking and the redness around the forehead, left and right, on the cheeks of Patera too. He will be really relieved to get this one out of the way. And look, let's make no bones about it, if it goes to the scorecards, he's likely to get a favourable decision because he's in his home country. But you couldn't argue if this was a draw on the scorecards. If this last round's competitive, you couldn't argue. Nice left hook there from Henchiri.
He just holds his feet and takes whatever's coming his way just to get his shots off sometimes as well. That's a hard body shot as well, again, from Patera with a left hook this time.
Well, you see even the way Patera's come out his corner, have said to him, listen mate, you're definitely not home and dry here. You need a big round. Every time, even with the 1-2 to the body, just caught the left hook on the way out. His exiting's been poor tonight, Patera, again there. Just open for the counter.
They're just bouncing off Henchiri as well, aren't they? looks like they're having zero effect on him at all. And Patera, not a knockout puncher by any means, but you know, he's got the capabilities of hurting people.
Oh, absolutely, especially to the body, and he's landed a few of those tonight. But as you say, nothing that's really concerned Henchiri at any point during this contest. And he's ripping Patera to the body himself, letting his hands go here.
Oh,
short uppercut through the middle. Oh, I've seen so many of these bizarre upsets. Look at that.
Didn't even know what he was going to do there.
I think he believes he's won this fight, Alex.
Yeah, he has that. The hallmarks of a guy who looks like he's won, doesn't he?
I don't know that you
it's
could
a big
really
moral
argue.
victory as well, Chris. It really is, isn't it? And you can see why he feels that way, can't you?
Absolutely phenomenal performance from him.
It really is. You would definitely watch this fellow again. Definitely.
Absolutely. He's raised the value of his profile, certainly, as somebody that was really due to just come in, go through the motions and represent an opportunity, as we said before this, for Patera just to oil the wheels, having been out of the ring for a long time and been through a difficult few months with COVID and rescheduled clashes and late changes of opponent and everything else. But Henchiri is not bothered about any of that. He saw an opportunity. He's grabbed it by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah,
and you
he
know
sure
what?
has.
He is in with a big shout.
Well, he's got a little bit more than half a minute to go here now, Chris, and you know he's given you the idea that he feels that he's maybe a moral victory, if nothing else. You know, he's.
But I don't know. I think he's had Patera chasing shadows, walks him onto a jab there again, picking his shots at range all night. 25 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Wow. Real confidence.
This is remarkable.
Yeah, it really is, man.
I'd love to see the reaction to this on social media, what people are seeing here, because what we've seen, this is...
Well, I don't think he's going to get a decision here, Chris. I really don't.
I don't think he is, but I'm not sure if I agree with that being the case. Patera hugs him, and, well, he will be...
A tough fellow.